and welcome back to another episode of Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia Averill.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll be chatting with Kayla Adeniji, social media manager and wife of Hakeem Adeniji. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week, where we'll be discussing the release of Marvel's Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. But first, Tia, what's going on, boo?
Listen, you are hilarious. Listen, I was saving this for the recording, but I got a life lesson in go with your first mind, okay? Because you always know.
Right.
So on Friday, I was headed to get my youngest from school. The oldest did not have school because it was a holiday, Veterans Day.
Okay.
And I got a flat tire, like flat. But in my head, I'm thinking, because when you look, it was not a blowout or anything.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I just got my car from the dealership. They rotated the tires and stuff. So in my head, y'all didn't do something right when y'all rotated my tires. So now I'm pissed, okay? I done called and went off on them because I'm on the side of the road headed to pick this kid up.
Right.
Ended up having to force him to stay after school. Or to stay, in the after school program while we figure this out. Mm-hmm. Now, I had the frame of mind to be like, you know what? Just tow it to the dealership, go rent your car, figure it out on Monday. No. Okay. Cliff was like, no, I'm going to call this guy named Max that does stuff on our car, whatever. He's like, he'll come and put the spare on. We'll figure it out tomorrow. By 5:30, we were still there. Okay. Tow truck was still 150 minutes away. So I had to take a lift from the side of the road to go get the youngest from school, take them home, then meet the tow truck driver back, only to have my car towed to my house because at this point everything's closed and I don't know where I can have it towed. Right. And so I spent most of yesterday trying to get that situation together. Of course, it's still not together. But at least I was able to leave the house and do what I needed to do. But when I say go with your first frame of mind, I should have just rented the car on Friday for the weekend and figured this stuff out on Monday instead of like, okay, well, let me try this, let me try that. I'll wait for this, I'll wait for that. Waiting had rental car companies closed on me yesterday.
It's a weekend. And it was Veterans Day. So a lot of places were probably,
And that's what the issue was with the tow truck driver. Because when I called the insurance company, they was like, I ain't gonna lie to you, everything is taking forever because people ain't working today due to Veterans Day. So that kicked off my weekend. So that tell you what kind of weekend I had. Just
real
stuff. Talk. Just stuff. Okay.
Real talk.
But how was your weekend? Because I just knew you was gonna have a chill weekend, but it don't sound like you had a chill weekend either.
In my mind, it was going to be chill, but it never really works out that way. Somehow it ended up, my boys had their playoff football game, followed by, we did Wakanda Forever Black Panther on Friday. We just rented out a theater and had a bunch of friends and family come and watch it. Followed by Saturday, I had a Sip and Sense candle party, followed by a bridal shower for my girlfriend, Nakia. And it has been non-stop.
Why did you think you were having a chill weekend? Okay.
I don't know. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, it won't be that much. But I always do this. I don't know why I like to push myself to the limits. I need to go see a therapist and figure out why. It's a sickness.
Okay, so wait, what is a Sip and Sense? It's like candle making?
Yeah. So my girlfriend, Tiffany Rose, she has a candle business and it's called Sip and Sense. And I'm sorry, it's called School Sense. But she has these parties called Sip and Sense. So basically she comes in, she brings all the different candle smells and aromas and people make these, make their own candle. And of course the host, me, you provide mimosas, drinks. I did chicken and waffles to go along with it this morning. So it was fun. Nice. I had a blast. I had so much fun. And I just want to say, if y'all have never done a Sip and Sense party, y'all need to reach out to my girl, Tiffany. She's on Instagram. Her IG is school.sense. And it is so fun. We had such a good time. We kikied and laughed and ate and drank and fellowshipped. And it was a great time.
Oh, that sounds fun. I've been to and heard of, like, you go into like the candle bars and do that, but being able to host it in your house and bring in food and stuff, that sounds like a good idea, a good time.
It was such a fun time. I loved it. I think that if because you know how they do the ones where you can do like there's something
Paint
else that they do
and stuff.
Yeah, there's paint and sip, but there's another one that I think there's draw, there's paint, and there's one more. But this one is fun because you're literally creating your own fragrance. And so then you have to let it, of course, cool and curate. And then when you smell it, And so anyways, I've been working with Tiffany for a while because I've always been interested in candles. You know, I love home decor. And so months and months ago, this summer actually, we've been working on creating a scent for me. So I'm almost there. I just want to say, and I'm going to be rolling out my candle in the new year. So shout out to Tiffany for being so amazing, and probably I'm sure I was getting on her nerves, but she's been working with me trying to figure out the candle like that I would love. So yeah, it's been fun. Awesome. If you guys haven't done it, look her up on IG, and hopefully y'all can get a sip and sit. She's everywhere. She does pop-ups at West Elm. She's all over. So she be moving and shaking.
Okay. Awesome. All
right, enough about that. Let's get into this week's hot takes. All right, it's time for this week's hot takes. Tia, what we got?
Okay, so this week we are talking the release of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Okay, so we have been waiting for this sequel. Like you all know, when Black Panther originally came out, starring Chadwhck Boseman, it was a box office hit immediately. Like literally like a culture shifting phenomenal movie, right? And so we were all looking forward to this, but of course they had bumps along the road. The main one being Chadwhck Boseman passing away, and then there were some issues with Atoya Wright, Shuri from the Black Panther, but the movie's out. We also rented out a theater on Thursday night, brought a bunch of kids from the Boys and Girls Club, invited our friends, and the whole nine, and had a great time, right? But what was interesting is I started getting messages with like mixed reviews on the movie itself. So I wanted to ask you, Toya. Yeah, what did you think of Black Panther?
I loved Black Panther. I loved it. Listen, let's start here. Nothing will ever... Like the original will always be the original. Like you can't, like it was, to your point, Tia, it was a movement. There's nothing like it ever. And Chadwhck was in that one. So you have to give credit where credit's due. That kind of changed and shift the trajectory of Marvel as far as Black people, like feeling that there was representation for them. So that is on its own. But when you look at the second one, they had to figure out so many different moving dynamics. Like, how do we honor him? How do we figure out a plot?
How do we film during COVID?
And how do we make this all work? And they not only honored him at the beginning, but I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone. But they also honored him at the end, and I absolutely loved it. I love the different storylines behind it. I thought it was beautifully done. I heard that it was long, which it was, but it didn't feel long when you were watching it. I didn't feel like it was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I think that they did an amazing job. What about you? Tell me your thoughts.
So I loved it too. And it definitely is like one of my favorites immediately, right? To your point, people did say, oh, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, like yada, 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 all the things. It did not feel like it when you were watching it. And I also felt like what was left in the movie in terms of it being 2 hours and 40 minutes, you needed it for the storytelling, right? You needed to kind of like understand, especially for people who are not Marvel heads, right?
Yes.
Like there's so much that happens within the Marvel universe. And so they were providing lots of context and explaining, you know, where people were coming from, things of that nature. So I absolutely loved it. But you know,
agreed.
The movie itself, I'm not gonna spoil it because I feel like what's at the top of mind is gonna spoil it for y'all.
What you want to say.
I ain't gonna do that. But what I will say is, and I'll come back to us renting out in the theater and like having our friends and kids and stuff in there. I'm gonna talk about that. But what has been cool is their media run and like reading all the interviews and things like that they've been doing. Yeah. And I read an article from Vanity Fair, and Ryan Coogler, the director of both Black Panthers, so he had done this interview, and he said something that I didn't think about, and it really it kind of
resonated with you.
It's interesting. Yeah, so he was saying that one, he gave Chadwhck the original script, and he asked him a few times like, "Hey, did you check it out? Hey, did you check it out?" And he didn't, but finally, when he after he passed away, he found out he never got to read the script because he was too tired to read it. And so Ryan was, he felt bad and everything else because he was like, yo, we didn't even know this was going on with him, number one. Yeah. But number two, so you know how when people pass away, right? Sometimes, like immediately after you get the questions and stuff, especially if you were close with the person or you work with the person, you get the immediate like, oh, how are you doing? How are you taking it? Yada, yada, yada. But then that eventually like wanes off where people aren't always asking you about it. Right. Well, now that they're doing the press run again, they're still getting those questions like, oh, how did you find out? What, just questions about Chadwhck. And so for them, it's reopening up these grief sores, so to speak, right? So they have to continue to relive it. And I didn't think about that, right? Because even if, let's say, Lupita showed up and we were interviewing her, we would definitely ask her about Chadwhck, but it's almost like it's actually insensitive to keep putting them through that.
Agreed.
In that manner, but overall, that was a great article. I definitely want y'all to check it out, but it did kind of put some things into perspective. Like Chadwhck was this icon for us, or is this icon for us and our kids and things of that nature, but he was still someone's son, someone's husband, someone's friend.
Yes.
And we have to be mindful of that when we are constantly bombarding people with, so how did you feel? Take us back to that moment when you find out, those types of questions.
Agreed. We definitely have to learn to be sensitive. It's kind of like when someone finds out something or someone passes away and they say, well, what happened?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all want to know what happened, and I completely understand that. But sometimes just pause for a second and just pray for them. You know what I mean? And just let them have their moments. So when they feel comfortable, they can discuss whatever it is they want to discuss. And, so much time has passed during that people think that, oh, they should be over it. But like, no, that was their brother. That was someone that they were with in the trenches every single day. You'll never get over it. Grieving is a lifetime. And people have to understand that. So you're right, 100%. And shout out to Ryan Coogler for, coming up with a Black Panther 2 that I absolutely loved and adored. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil it, but
I know everything I want to say is like, I'm going to spoil it, but I'm going to give y'all a chance to check this movie out.
He did a great job of honoring Chadwhck, and I know that he's in heaven smiling down. So
yeah.
Okay, that's it for this week's Hot Takes. Coming up next, our conversation with Kayla Adeniji. On the show today, we have Kayla Adeniji. She hails from San Jose, California, West Coast for life. She went to college at the University of Kansas on a women's rowing scholarship where she met her husband, Hakeem Adeniji, who played football there. They now reside in Cincinnati, Ohio, where they are on their third year with the Cincinnati Bengals. Kayla works for 2 boutiques in Cincinnati, as well as a social media manager for a swimwear company called Monday Swimwear. Kayla Adeniji, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I'm ready.
Well, first, I want to start off by saying I feel you on the West Coast for life through and through. I was raised on the West Coast, and I absolutely love it. There's nothing like those blue, sunny skies for your mental health, physical health.
Yes.
How did you end up going from West Coast to Kansas? Let's talk about it.
I swear, like if I had $1 for every time I got asked this question in college, I'm already getting pale. So like you can see, it really affects me. No, I just wanted to go out of state. I wanted to be so far away from home. Born and raised in California. I didn't want to know anyone. Typical, like, get me out of the house. So my dad went to the University of Kansas, which is how I heard of it. And then I applied early, and their acceptance rate is like 90-something%. So I kind of knew I was going to get in. And then I heard back and I was like, yeah, I'm done with applications. I'm just going to go. So it was really just a whim. Yeah.
Now, did you end up getting a rowing scholarship as well?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, so I had actually never rowed previously to getting on campus. Really? They do a lot of recruiting on campus. So like they just look for tall, athletic looking people. And yeah, they saw me in the gym and they're like, okay, would you be interested? And I was like, Mom, should I like go? Should I try? She's like, yeah, just go see what it's like. You never know. And I ended up working my way up to full scholarship. So I stuck with it.
Okay, so when you first heard of it, like when they introduced it to you, were you like, what? I don't know what this is.
I was like, where do they row? This is Kansas. Like, where's the water at? You know, where are we rowing at? So there was actually a river like a mile and a half from campus that was just long enough for us to practice in. But I was really intrigued by the sport. I thought it was very beautiful. It was very rhythmic. It just looked like everyone had to be in sync. And I played sports growing up, but what I liked with rowing was it's not about you. Like if you mess up, the whole boat messes up essentially. So everyone has to be on the same page. And being in the water is like my happy place. So being there and then you're kind of far away from fans, you can hear them, but they're not next to you. I loved that. It was very peaceful.
That sounds amazing because I love being on the water too. And it's like you zone out at least for me.
Yes.
I remember like when I go in the water, I'm like, okay, no worries. It's just me in the water.
Yeah. It's hard work though.
Listen, I was just about to say that. So my, well, it's not a tangent, but so my son's pre-K teacher is an Olympic rower and she still she's still competing. She competed in that race a few weeks ago in Boston. What's that big one? It starts with a B. Whatever it was, but she went and did that race, flew back in like on a super early flight on a Sunday, picked her son up and was at flag football with us, whatever. But anyway, so when he was in her class, she was talking about it so much, like it's a great full body workout, Just so happened that we got offered a hydro rower, like we hadn't invested in it, blah, 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 whatever. So I get this hydro rower. It's like Peloton, right? So number one, the machine was cool. It was a real cool experience, whatever. I stopped using it because I didn't have anybody else to row with. Like I couldn't compete in the competitions or whatever. But I tell you what, my ass didn't last more than 10, 15 minutes at a time. That is hard work.
And I'll tell you this, because we were in Kansas, so we would be on the ergometers, which is like the water rower that you were speaking of, when the weather was bad or there was lightning, which happened all the time there. And I will never, ever get on one of those machines again. Like you cannot pay me enough money. My body has been through it. I'm tired of them. I'm done. Like I've spent too many hours just staring at that screen. So I'll never get in a boat again or like be on an erg. I'm done, but I loved it while I was in it.
Okay, tell us one of your favorite memories when you were rowing in college.
Oh, goodness. So my two roommates and I, we all rowed together. So we were all kind of like mentally drained towards the end of the season. And we'd just like try to start hyping ourselves up. So we'd have like our songs that we'd play in our apartment. It'd be like 5:30 in the morning. And, but just those memories, like I didn't have a car. So getting to ride with my girls to practice, come home, talk about it, just have that support. That was like the best times ever. Yeah.
I agree.
Can't get through it without the girls.
Absolutely. It was that time with your teammates that you'll never get back. It's such a special time. So same here. All the road trips, all the jokes. Yeah.
So I can't imagine there's a lot of people of color rowing. So like, what was that experience like?
I was the only one when I first got there. And we have a lot of walk-ons. So there were a couple walk-ons. But I believe like one other made it, but they separated. So there was like varsity, freshman, novice, all that stuff. So there's not a lot of people of color at all. And when we would travel, I kind of noticed like the good teams had the Australians or the Canadians, like they had the foreign people on their teams and they were just super tall and super strong. So That was kind of different. But again, like I grew up in San Jose, California. I was one of 3 Black women that graduated my high school. I was used to it there. Then going to Kansas, the only Black people I really knew and interacted with were athletes. So being in the athlete world, like I was kind of used to it. So.
Okay, so I would love to know your side of the story and how you met. I know he has his, but I want to hear your side.
Yeah, he definitely has his own version. But it was my senior year. I had just gotten out of a relationship. So I was on the senior year. I'm doing me. This is my year. Gonna go out, have fun with the girls one last time. And he had class with one of my teammates, Kristen Underhill. I got to shout her out because she gave him like the nudge to shoot his shot with me. And she would just bring his name up randomly in conversation. And I was like, I have no idea who this kid is. Like, I don't know. He was a sophomore. And he didn't have Instagram. I didn't have Twitter. He only had Twitter, but didn't really use it. So I was Googling him, just like trying to get an idea for who he was. And then we ran into each other at the academic center.
So you were a senior and he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Cougars unite. Let's go. I was a senior and Nate was a freshman.
Really? Oh, wow. I love it.
You don't hear that.
It sounds weird. No, it sounds weird. But I mean, I was a young senior, so I was 21. When I met him, he was about to turn 19, I believe.
Yep.
He was 19. Yeah. So seems
so
weird,
funny. Love it. Okay. I didn't even know. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And so we actually first met at the academic center. I said hi to him. He said hi to me. That was it. And then he had tore both of his labrums playing football. Ooh. So he was about to have back-to-back surgery over winter break. So he like never goes out. He's such a homebody. So this was his last going out before like he had to tie down, get surgery, all that stuff.
Hold on 1 second, because I ain't going to even pretend like I knew what you were referring to. But when you said both of, it sounded real severe. But what is the labrum?
Yeah, so the labrum's in his shoulder, and you can play through it. A lot of players do. So he knew he tore it, but was going to finish the season and then get surgery to repair. So the way he did it, he was going to get surgery, wait for one to rehab, and then he'd have to get surgery on the other one. So
Got it.
He knew he was going to be having like a rough winter break. So he went out. We both went out to the same bar. It's called Tonic in Lawrence, Kansas. And I had a few drinks. I was definitely feeling myself. And I just walked over to him and he like slid me his phone. I put my phone number in, but I didn't think anything of it because winter break, everyone does their own thing.
Yeah.
And guys, at least the ones that I knew, did not like to talk on the phone. They were just always busy, always tired. So I didn't think we would stay in touch, but he was so bored at home because he had surgery. So we FaceTimed like every single day over winter break. And then when we got back to campus, we just kind of hung out all the time.
So I heard you were his first girlfriend.
I was his very first girlfriend, and let me tell you, it was a lot of work.
No pressure.
A lot of communication skills we had to visit. And because I had kind of always been in a relationship. I'm a relationship girl. Like he didn't even go to prom with a girl. So he was just like always with the boys.
Wow.
So this was this was a big step for him. But I take pride that I was his first girlfriend and now his wife. So I'm like, you did it right the first time and you waited for the right one. So I appreciate that.
I know that's right.
That's right. So let's talk about that. Okay. So being that you're older, because I hear the things that you're saying, being that you're older and he's younger, did you feel like you had to walk him through so many things? Like not just first of like, I'm your first girlfriend, but just like first in life, like from jump.
Yeah, I was like, no, this is how we communicate. Like I'm not playing games. Like if you text me, I'm going to respond. If you call, I'm going to answer. I'm not on the whole waiting game. Like, no, I'm too old for that. That's done. Like I'm dating with the intention that you're going to be like my life partner, you know? So it took a lot of time, and we both come from divorced parents. So also learning what didn't work growing up and what we saw that we didn't like, and that kind of affected us in a negative way, and what we didn't want to bring into our relationship as well. So, because you definitely, to an extent, are a product of the environment you grow up in. So, kind of relearning how to communicate with each other was a big thing too. And then we did long distance, and that's a whole nother thing. I swear, if you can do long distance, you can do anything, because that is the hardest test. Hardest.
Okay, talk about that, because people don't understand. They think like, oh, long distance, no big deal. Like that. Talk about why it was so hard for you.
It was just like, I actually went home after college and I was trying to find a job. So I had a lot of time.
Right.
And his schedule in college is way worse than the NFL. It is way worse. It is what you got, job and school, and they run you to the ground. Like in the NFL, your job is to take care of your body and rest and all that stuff. So it's like in college, he was just going, and we'd get on the phone. There's no energy for him to talk to me. He's tired. He's got all this. And it was really difficult for me. I was in California, so the time difference with Kansas was 2 hours. So I'd just be sitting there waiting on my phone, waiting for him to call, waiting for him to text. And then I learned like, okay, he really is tired. So let me just try to give him some space. And it was a lot of me going to see him. I was on a flight probably every weekend to Kansas to see him because that was the only way it was going to work for us. So
yeah, he wasn't a phone person at all. That was
he still really isn't.
Nate isn't either. He's not a phone person. I think
the
he
younger
talks
men.
Yes, he's just like, when you're in front of me, it's good. But like, as far as being on the phone, like for hours, forget about it.
Yeah, he really did not like it. Texting was like, no, he was horrible at responding to text and still kind of is. FaceTime, he prefers. Yeah.
Okay, so when Cliff was drafted to Detroit, I lived in Tennessee. And Tennessee, there was nothing in Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay, there was nothing there.
What about
so
Detroit?
My ass was bored a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So I was annoyed that he was in Detroit, like going out, having a grand time. And mind you, I mean, he was working and all the other kind of stuff. But when, he was enjoying the life of an NFL draftee, whatever. Yeah. But when I moved to Charlotte, I saw the shift because then I could have a social life and it was a thing, right? Yeah. Did you feel like, okay, because you said you were looking for work, but once you found work, did you feel like it was like a little bit easier on your relationship because now you were more occupied while he was in the midst of his craziness?
So honestly, it got harder for me because I moved to Texas and I started working a corporate job. I worked inside sales for FedEx. So typical 9 to 5, you walk to your cube, you sit down, you're at your desk all day, go home. Drive home in traffic. It's Dallas, Texas. I hated it. I knew it wasn't for me, going from like being so active and working out and that being a part of my routine and schedule. I'm a very disciplined person, so I do like routine, but it was literally Groundhog's Day. I hated it so much. So it was hard because I felt like I was changing as a person. I was not as happy and like excited to get on the phone. I was just like, I'm so tired, but all I've done all day is sit. So I don't know what's wrong with me. Yeah.
What was your degree in? Because you said you went into sales.
My degree was in sociology. So I went to Kansas with the intention of getting a business degree. I was failing like every class. So I was like, this is not it. I got to switch it up. I called my best friend. She was like, I'm majoring in sociology. It's pretty easy. So I switched and that was it. I knew I wasn't really going to take that degree anywhere. But I had a few connections in Dallas. So, I lived with my best friend's family. So saved money on rent and all that stuff. And then just kind of, buckled down for a year and a half and worked for FedEx. Yeah.
And you said you went back and forth to visit him weekly, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. From Texas, it was easy. It was probably an hour flight. So since I was Monday through Friday, usually college game days are Saturday. So I would leave right after work, get on the plane, get there, and then fly home Sunday night, and go back to work. And that was my schedule for the last year Yeah.
You know what? You're right when you say long distance is hard. Like it's so much easier in person, and you don't put your mind through torture when you're away. I felt like when you're away, you put your mind through so much torture. Like in the sense of like you're not there.
Like what he's doing,
responding? What's he doing?
Yes.
Like you drive yourself crazy.
No, y'all, it was bad. I would literally just want to sleep. Like I would chug children's Benadryl and just like go to bed. If we were fighting or I was like done with the day, I was like, that's it. I need to knock out for the next 10 hours. I'm exhausted. Like I just don't want to do this. So I would just go into like a deep sleep to try to catch up on rest and just not even think about it. But I will say, I don't know how some of the women do it. And Tia, you talked about like doing long distance in the NFL is way different than doing it in college. I don't know how they do it too, because I would feel like I'd miss out on so much. I've just always been the type that's like, I'm going wherever you go, I'm going. So
same.
Yeah.
But you know, part of it too is because you go to school, you work, like you have your own set of dreams for what your life looks like. And of course, our husbands do. And so when you are dating, like, yes, you want to be with that person, but you also want to pour into yourself, right? So my thing was like, I got an engineering degree. I ain't have 7 a.m. labs and all-nighters every other week for nothing, right? So I wanted to put it to use. And to be honest, even when I decided to like move up there with him, I was pregnant, blah, 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 whatever. That was torturous for me, right? So like on one hand, yes, you want to be there to support your spouse or whatever and be a part of, festivities. Like you going out, I want to go out too. But, you know, it's like it's this battle between pursuing your dream and supporting him and his.
Yes, definitely. And like I said, I just think we can all attest if you can get through that long distance, you can really, you can get through anything in your relationship. You'll learn so much about each other.
So true. When did you guys reconnect and get back to living in the same state?
So he's from Texas. He is born and raised in Dallas, Texas. So he came back home and started training and getting ready for combine and all that stuff. So we were together then, but it was COVID literally just happened. So him and I were staying in my now mother-in-law's 2-bedroom apartment in Dallas, Texas, quarantined together all the time. So that was a challenge. And then once he got drafted in the 6th round to Cincinnati, and I kind of always knew, like, I'm going to go. I don't want to work at FedEx anymore. Like, I'll find something out there. And of course, everyone had their concerns, as family always does. Of course. They didn't think the NFL season was going to happen because everything else was shutting down, the NBA, all that stuff. So that was very new to us. The draft was weird. It was it was just weird. Yeah.
Talk about your experience with the virtual. Like, how was that?
Honestly, draft day was not fun. Like, unless you're a first rounder, let me tell you, it is not fun.
It is
like it was so nerve wracking. Everyone tells you like, oh, you're going to go here. You're going to go. You have no idea. You have no idea when you're going to get drafted. Unless you're like top 10, I think. So it was a lot of waiting. He was very frustrated. He was in a room. I stayed outside the room, just like tried to give him space. I was scrolling through ESPN, getting the notifications and updates. And then he got a phone call, and I thought it was the Cowboys because they had the pick before the Bengals. So I was like, oh, we're staying in Dallas.
You're like, it's warm. Yes.
I mean, I wanted to go to the West Coast selfishly, but I remember, Cincinnati called, and that was it. It was kind of hard I didn't know what to feel. I was like, is this good? He was a little mad. He went first pick of the 6th round. So, but it's been a blessing. And he's like, I don't want to play anywhere else now. So
that is awesome. Okay. So when he told you that he was getting drafted, like, hey, I'm thinking about entering the draft. I'm going to go work out. I'm doing this combine thing. Was that all new to you? Were you like, wait, what? What is this?
So honestly, I grew up with football. My dad played in the NFL for a while.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I was familiar with how things worked, and my mom did like a beautiful job of handling everything. So watching her go through that, I felt like I had the perfect mentor. She always told me, don't date a football player, don't date an athlete. She was so scared because my dad went to Kansas. He went to Kansas. Hakeem went to Kansas. That's where we met. He was a football player. Yeah, but I was like, at least he's on the O-line. My dad played defense. So
okay, wait, how long did your dad play?
I want to say 11 years. Yeah, mostly with the Niners. Nice. Yeah. So
okay. That's why you guys were out in San Fran.
That's why we were in the Bay. That's right. Yeah. So I knew of football. I love football. It's been in my blood. So that stuff was not new to me. And when I had questions, I had the best people around me to ask. So my mom, all her friends that she's still close with that had husbands in the league and all that stuff. So
that's so good because you had someone to talk to. I think, you think about most women that end up in this space. There's so many like things that you want to talk about, whether it's insecurities or things you don't understand or just having someone that can relate. And you can't necessarily go to your friends and or family because they don't really know. So the fact that you had your mom and her friends and all these people to like encourage you and tell you, girl, just relax, or this is what you need to do. Like that is so cool because most people don't experience that.
Yeah. And I just kind of felt like ahead of the game. And if any of our friends now that have come here and their men get drafted and they have questions, I feel so honored that they ask me, like, how is it? What is it like? My family's telling me, don't move out there. What do I do? So I love those conversations. I love it. I love it.
Okay, so you guys have been married a little over a year now.
Yeah.
So
the newlywed life.
Yeah.
Yes. What advice would you give like newly engaged or like the couples that are just now about to cross the hump now that you have done so?
Okay, from my perspective, traditional weddings are overrated. Just do what you want to do. Do it for you. We didn't even do like the dance and the cutting the cake and the bridesmaids. I just had my best friend. He had his best friend. We only had blood family like actually watching our wedding ceremony, and then my mom like threw us a party.
This was COVID.
Yeah, in her friend's backyard, and some of the people that like helped raise me and all that stuff came. But I just think do what you want to do. It's really hard. It's a lot of work. Changing your name is a lot of work, and no one told me the steps to do that. Like get your Social Security done first, and then you can do everything else.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of steps, but I think the biggest thing for me that nobody really talked about was your first off season. Like that was such a transition. We fought and we had just got engaged. Our first off season, we got engaged in January. That was the most we had ever fought our entire lives. Like it was so bad. No one just tells you like, you go from giving so much energy and effort to supporting their season and being the host with the mostest and all that stuff. And then off seasons comes and I'm like, wait, what's changed? Like you're still going to work. You have a lot of time at home now, but like you're still tired and you still want to break. Cause I had expected this like 360 shift, you know?
Yeah. You're going to be like, where are we going? What are we doing? Let's go.
I went into it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you almost expected like, okay, I allowed or didn't nag you about not being able to spend enough time with me during this period. But now there's no excuses.
Yeah. I remember I kept saying like, it's my break time. Like this is my time to rest and all that stuff. But it was definitely a transition for us. And there's so much that goes into off season. We don't have a house anywhere. So we did Airbnb in Texas and we had to drive the car 13 hours, pack everything up. So it's a lot of moving parts. And I'm sure you guys have been there with the moving and the picking up and going. And
it's so interesting that you say that because most people think like, oh, well, someone moves them or someone does everything for them. It's like, no, unless you're traded, no one comes and packs your stuff up. Unless you're on a coaching staff, no one comes and packs your stuff up. You're stuck to do everything. And typically it's the women that are stuck to do everything.
And we've been blessed because we've been in Cincinnati since we've been drafted. So the only moving I've really done is during off season. And I've seen the women go through it. We have family friends that are now with Arizona. He got traded to the Giants from Cincinnati and then they got pregnant and she had to pack up the whole house by herself. And it's a lot. And I don't think people talk about that as much. Just that it is a lot of weight and it is a lot that we have to do. But yeah, our first off season was definitely, I'd say the hardest part. Yeah, it was harder than camp for me, which is saying a lot.
Okay, so what was your epiphany? What was your like, okay, this is what I need to do so that I'm not in a funk with this situation?
Honestly, once year 2 came around, I just felt a lot better about things. Like COVID, when we came here, it was crazy. Like they said, if your wife is caught out with groups of 3 or more women, you could be fined and all this stuff. And the boys were going in to get tested literally every single day. So there was just a lot going on that year. And then the second year, you know, they kind of started to ease up. And if you get vaccinated, then you have all this freedom and all that stuff. So once we got our first year under our belt, and we had a horrible season, we were like 4-10, I think. So after getting through that, then I kind of felt more comfortable going into the season.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we were 0-16 our rookie season. The first 0-16 team.
Do you want to hear something crazy too? Okay. And do you know anything about Kansas football? My husband won 9 games in 4 years.
Wait,
9
what?
in 4 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's on the team. Yeah, with all these boys from Ohio and all that, they got rings and all of them. Like, yeah. So we've been through the losing record too. Yeah, those games are not fun to sit through.
That is so true. And it's cold too.
Crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That alone. But at least Kansas kind of prepared you when you went to Cincinnati. Like at least you were how was your experience? Like once you actually got to meet women and, like get to know people, how was that experience?
The women here are amazing. I think everyone is just like so about their family. And I love that. Like they are so devoted to their kids and just like they're so family oriented. And I love it so much. Chloe Bernard, her husband now plays for the Bucks. She messaged me on Instagram and was just like, hey, we have a women's study. Don't know if you're religious or you want to be a part of that. And I was like, yes, please. So she was like my first introduction to everyone. And, every Wednesday the women get together and our chaplain leads a women's study and her husband leads the study for the men. And it's just a beautiful, like I couldn't ask for a better group of women. Everyone just loves their family. And that's all.
Awesome. That's how Yvonne Raiola was in Detroit. She did an amazing job, like welcoming and inviting women into the Bible study. And you just really, seeing another side and just being able to talk to people that understand and you're just getting that spiritual fulfillment. It is a beautiful thing.
And I feel like every team kind of has a leader, right? Like someone that brings everyone in under their wing and takes charge. So I'm really thankful that we had that here and I formed my connections and all that. And I really hope one day we're somewhere long enough where I can be that to somebody else. So
that's right.
Well, it sounds like you already are.
Yeah.
No, I'm working on it.
But when someone shows you that, you do now like take that, and you're like, okay, if I go somewhere else, now I know. Because that's kind of the
100%.
mentality that I had. Like, okay, I was shown this love. I remember when Nate was drafted to Minnesota and Kim Culpepper was so warm and so just like, everyone come over, come eat. It doesn't matter if it was a win or a loss. She had everyone over. She was so welcoming. And to have that is rare. And so you think to yourself like, okay, remember these moments, remember how you feel and bless someone else with that when they're coming in. So,
right?
Yeah. It's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So let's switch gears a little bit. So you are working for 2 boutiques there in Cincinnati, and then you also manage social media for a swimwear company. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this has been my busiest year for sure. The 2 boutiques that I am working at, I mainly just do social media for them. So what my job entails is like going out, shooting content, wearing the store's clothes and promoting it on their Instagram. And my job with Monday Swimwear actually just ended because I was only taking over for someone while they were on maternity leave. But it was my dream job. I couldn't have asked for like a better group of women. And I've always loved social media. And lately I've really just been kind of getting into like the power it has and the amount of people you can really reach through it. It was very stressful. They're a very big company. So running an Instagram account for someone that has like over 600,000 followers and they don't have a store. So that's really their only marketing brand. It was a lot, but they were so kind to me and they have an office in LA. So when I would go home, I got to check out the office and meet the women. I got to go to Miami Swim Week, which was so much fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was working in Swim Week and it was just like, I was so starstruck because some of these women I had been following for years on Instagram and I got to meet them in person and I'm working with them. And it was really cool for me. So that was a big moment. That was definitely a big moment. And I had to stop. They're hiring somebody else now because their girl who was on maternity leave chose to just stay at home with the baby and all that stuff. But this is like the heaviest part of the season for us now. So I'm starting to wind down a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I did see that you also are on LTK.
Yeah. It's hard. I don't really
talk about that because I started on LTK last year as well.
Yeah.
And talk about like it's hard. Like people don't really understand what that entails.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about it. And I just learned you can start tagging products on an Instagram post now. Yeah, like the actual product. I haven't made $1 from LTK. I will just say that. So I don't know if I'm going to continue using it. I think just like when people have too many links to click through, it just gets a little frustrating. So I've tried, but I don't know.
Well, we'll have to talk about that later. We'll talk about it afterwards.
You let me know how you feel about it.
So you as a social media manager, talk a little bit about more like how you even navigate that space, because I think in general, because everybody has a social media account, like when they think, social media manager, they think that is easy. And it's really not. Like when you think about storytelling and what type of content to produce and put, that whole nine.
So when I was managing the Instagram account for Monday Swimwear, since they are like a professional brand, they would go out and shoot campaigns and they would have all of these images ready to go. And then we would have like a shared photo album. And my job was to do stories and posts. And with a brand like that, they're posting 3 to 5 times a day. So it's captions, tagging, all that stuff. And the two owners will definitely like give their input on what they want the feed to look like. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's very beautiful, very just like organically done. And for stories, I had a lot of freedom, which was nice. So it's a lot of Photoshop, just because we use the exact same font for everything. We don't use the Instagram font. We have certain color schemes that we use. So learning stuff like that was really fun. I took one journalism class in college. So I kind of had like an idea, but nothing crazy. But I was on my phone all the time. I was on my phone at games. I'm taking meetings later than my husband. I'm uploading first thing in the morning and then making sure the posts go up throughout the day, responding to comments, responding to messages. So that part was hard for me. And I also like creating my own feed. So I didn't have the energy to go out and make my own content and edit that. I was just like tired.
It was a full-time job.
It was definitely full-time. Yeah. And weekends, because like Instagram doesn't stop on the weekends. So I was, my hours were Monday through Friday. And I definitely was paid what I should have been paid and the hours that I should have been recorded. But I was definitely working Saturdays and Sundays and it was hard. I was like sitting in the stands at game day trying to get this post up. I was like, I can't, I can't do this.
Do it.
Yeah.
That's a lot. What would you say is the most difficult part of the retail world that most people don't know?
It is exhausting. Being on your feet is a lot of work. I'm complaining about my 9 to 5 sitting down, but being on your feet is just as hard. Walking around all day is really difficult. But the boutiques that I work for, Atoya, the one that I spend most of my time at, it's a small boutique, women owned. I love that. The environment is great. The women that come in, like, are usually so harsh on their bodies and harsh on the way that they look. So I love when someone comes in and they find something that makes them feel good, look good. Like I have really taken a passion for clothes and what they can do for me. And I just became comfortable with my bodies probably like the last 2 years. So learning how to dress yourself is what brings me joy out of the work that I've been doing with retail. But yeah, it is definitely exhausting being on your feet and you get like 15 boxes a day, or not a day, but like when the shipment comes in and you got to unpack I never really understood that part. So
it is a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? You are so right on how harsh women are on their bodies,
It's crazy.
You could just, whether you just deliver a 10-pound baby damn near, or, feel like I just kicked my butt to get ready for a wedding or blah, 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 whatever, you still will find something negative to say about yourself.
Yeah. And it took me a really long time. I'm 5'11". I've never been small. I definitely stood out in my hometown. Everyone was very skinny. Girls would not eat before prom because they wanted to fit in their little dress. And I just had never been like, I was always on the thicker side. And it wasn't until I got to college where I was like, oh, wait, like, I feel like I look good. I'm like, I know I look good because people think I look good. And then being an athlete, I was just, I definitely ate and drank way too much. So I gained a lot of weight in college. And then when COVID
you went to
hit,
the freshman 15?
Like 25. I was almost 200 pounds. Okay. At 5'11", it was a lot.
So you were almost what?
200 pounds. Yeah.
But you know what? You probably didn't even look like it because of your height.
Yeah, I could show you some pictures.
Look.
She's like, I might have felt it here and there.
I felt it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, once I was done with college and sports, I was like, okay, I'm going to take time to do my body how I want to do my body. No one's telling me to go to practice. I don't have to lift this amount. So I really started to watch what I was doing. And my husband, thankfully, has always been so in tune with his body and what he eats. And linemen are known for being big, but he does it right. Like he's a solid 315. And I respect that about him so much. He always has to eat a certain amount to keep his weight, but he's doing it in the right way. So the way he eats, I eat. And I really like that. Yeah.
He has to eat like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because like he struggles to keep on weight.
He does. He struggles to keep on weight. I'm sure you guys know it's either they lose it quick or they gain it real quick in off season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so amazing too when you see linemen like after they're done playing and they're so skinny and you're like, whoa,
oh my gosh. No, girl, I'm so worried.
One or the other.
He wants to be so skinny. I'm like, no, you can't. He's so excited to get skinny when he's done playing. I'm like, first of all, I don't think that's in your genetic pool. Second, if you get under like 275, I don't know if we can do this. Like,
but you know what? Though?
I don't know.
All that weight is taxing on their bones, their knees, their back, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Cliff struggled to keep on weight too. He was always like having to do everything to gain weight, whatever. And then as soon as he stopped playing, he took 3 deep breaths and was fucking 30 pounds lighter.
Really?
It's that good old testosterone that we don't have.
It is, but girl, I'm like, do I need to get injections?
I'm just
something ain't
saying.
working. No, I'm just playing.
Has he found like his happy medium or is he still kind of losing? Because I'm worried once they start and they're like, oh.
He found his happy medium. So
Okay,
he
good.
was like a 260, 250 range, whatever. And now he's like, he bounces between 230 and 240.
Okay.
And that's comfortable for him.
That's good.
But he also works out because we got 2 boys, and he was like, one of these boys gonna try me one day, and I gotta be ready.
I gotta be ready. They're gonna put that chest out one day.
Gonna be bigger and better. Yep.
So, okay, being in the fashion space, do you dress your hubby?
Listen, I wish that man would let me dress him. My husband, since the day I have met him, he does not spend money on anything. And we are the perfect balance, okay? Because when I was working at FedEx, work hard, spend harder. Like I would spend every dollar I made, and 90% of what I make goes towards my clothes. Mm-hmm. I just love clothes. I love putting outfits together. He hates it. He hates jeans. He's a bigger guy. It's really hard to find stuff that's not thousands of dollars that's going to fit his body. Yeah. So he could care less what he wears. And honestly, he's been the same since the day I met him. So I'm like, just rock with it, babe. He's showing up to the stadium in his college shoes with his number on them still. These guys are like, what are you doing? You got like, come on now. What are you doing?
Just say he's not ending up on the fashion camp.
I love that.
Yeah. He stayed the same. He stayed the same.
That is a good balance. It really is.
It is. Yeah. One of us has to be smart with it. So I'm really thankful it's him. I am. Yeah. He spends money on food though. Like he's very picky with his food and where we get our, like our meat and dairy from and all that. So majority of what he spends is on food.
That's actually good.
Fair.
I love that he even cares about it, because my husband come home, he's like, what are we eating? So I love that. So
you do most of the cooking?
Yes, he's actually gotten a lot better. Like now he'll come home, especially because I'm podcasting and stuff, so I'm not like readily available. So he's really gotten into like cooking and trying things in this whole vegan life and, incorporating all these different things. So he's found his creativity side on that. And it just kind of happened naturally because I'm doing this. But I have a question for you on the fashion side. Is there something in the fashion world that I would say it drives you crazy when you see it, that you're like, no, I will never do that.
Low rise anything. No. Yeah. It's a no. Low rise anything. Never, ever. Like it's not comfortable. And I'm sure I had like Lululemon leggings back in like high school that were low rise and the flare. I think that was very in. It just doesn't sit. Like nobody wants to be in low rise. Yeah. And no.
Yeah.
Never.
Say no to crack. Like I don't want to see your butt crack. I don't.
Exactly.
I don't understand why they make them anymore.
I don't either.
Between that or even, I don't even like mid rise for real. You give me a high rise and we will go. Yeah. Exactly.
And it's hard to find for the tall girls. Let's just put that out there.
Yes.
High rise for tall girls is not necessarily high rise.
No, I never wore jeans. 1, because I was uncomfortable with the way I looked in them. And 2, I could never find a fit that was good for me. And I'm not taking the time to bring it to a tailor and get it. Like, I'm just not doing that. So I've definitely learned to invest in quality pieces. And I'm trying to do better at that and not spend so much on fast fashion. But Zara jeans have been great for me. So I will say that. They are high rise. They are long. I can wear them and they're not floods. So if a tall girl's out there looking for a good jean, start with Zara. Affordable and they've got options.
You know who else got good options?
Who?
And I just went in there it's been a month now, and I ain't never walked in this store before. Abercrombie and Finch.
I've been seeing them all over. I cannot step foot in that store though.
See, I couldn't, but you know,
is it
makeup
the
by
teas or the
Shayla.
smell?
Yeah.
Girl, but that's in my head. It was both, right? Because you just walk past that store, put your head down,
Right?
keep moving. That is not for you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if y'all follow Makeup by Shayla.
No.
So makeup artist, but now she's like huge now.
Okay.
Over 1 million followers, like all the things,
Dang.
whatever. But she posted a get ready with me with some damn Abercrombie jeans. And I'm 5'9", she's 5'9", she's a little more curvy. Those jeans were so cute. And I went in there, they have longs.
I know they do.
I got
I've
some.
heard.
Can we
favorite
talk
jeans.
about it? Can we talk about it? So I have a confession to make.
Okay, let's go.
You know, my daughter is 12 years old, and she loves Abercrombie and Fitch. And I was, can we go in here? I was like, sure. And I went in there with her, helping her find her outfits. And then I saw these jeans at Abercrombie called the Mom or the Momerize or something. Yeah. And so
that's what I got.
Let me just start by saying, my daughter takes forever in the dressing room. I'm talking, when I shop with her, I know I'm going to be irritated and hangry and ready to go because it'll be like 4 hours in. And I'm like, bruh, this is crazy. So I was like, you know what? I'm waiting for her to try her clothes on. Let me just try on these mom jeans. And they're called like the Momerize. I put those bad boys on and they hug you up high and through your butt. And they hit you just at the right. I love those jeans, Tia. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Kayla, try a pair. You're a tall girl too. Try a pair.
I am. That's on my list. All right. I've been hearing about it. I know. Maybe I'll just order online. I could just order online, I'm sure. Yeah. That'll be better.
And they have different wash colors. It is the smell. They have different wash colors. They have some with the holes in them, you know, They have like, you know, from light to dark. Yeah, Tia, when I say I love me listen here. They are bomb.
I'm telling you, I literally never, and honestly, that store represented like wealth to me, you know, just growing up, like I'm running into Forever 21 or whatever. And like the rich kids at the school was going into Abercrombie. So I was like, ain't no point in me stepping foot in there. So that's where I never went in there.
Oh, that's so funny. I just didn't go in there because of the smell.
Like, okay. Yeah, the smell. And I never thought they were like size inclusive. Like all the small people wore Abercrombie and Hollister. But now that I hear they've got some better. All right. I'm glad they've stayed relevant then. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
and then they've changed. They've really realized, okay, we need to change. We need to make sure that we are size relevant for everyone and we're not excluding people. Yeah. So check it out.
I will say I got TikTok videos of horrible experiences for the employees ever since I bought them jeans because, you know, the people are listening, but them still some good jeans.
Okay. They are some good jeans. Let's switch gears. I want to ask you a question, Kayla. What is something that you would love for people to know about you that they may not know?
Oh, wow. I have become like far more introvert over the past couple of years, I'm sure because of COVID. But also I genuinely love being at home and cooking. Like that is probably, besides the beach, this is like my happy place, like being at home, cooking, and then timing it right when Hakeem gets home and we have dinner together. So yeah, I value being at home. I value cooking, and the beach.
What's your favorite meal? What do you love to cook?
My favorite meal that Hakeem makes is steak. The favorite meal that I make is probably a beef curry dish I've been making. It's good because the leftovers are good. Serve it over some rice. It's I post my recipes on my Instagram. And let me tell you, I did not cook before we got to Cincinnati. Not one bit. I did not have a pan. I never cooked in college. And then we got here.
Have a pan.
Yeah. Hakeem was like, this food ain't it out here. We're not doing this. Cincinnati is it's hard. Coming from Texas and California, we have everything. Every type of food, every type of healthy restaurant. Things are open past 9 p.m. We get here, everything's closed on Mondays. DoorDash is like, you got Chipotle and White Castle, and that's it. So he's like, we're not doing this. So you got to learn to cook. You got this time at home. Let's go. So I really started learning, and now I love it. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Make sure you send us your recipe because we can post it so people can check it out.
I got you. Yeah. Yes. I will. Nice. I will.
All right. Let's switch gears a little bit.
Yes. We're going to do the 2-minute drill. We're going to play the 2-minute drill. You ready?
What's this? What is it?
So you have 2 minutes. We're going to ask you some questions. And the questions are basically this or that. So you have to pick one or the other. And the third one is a fill in the blank. So this, that, or the other is basically your option. So it's super easy. We start you off light, but we might come in with some hard questions.
Let's get into it. I'm ready. Yeah, let's go. I like it.
Okay. Ohio or Kentucky?
Kentucky.
If you were on one of the Real Housewives franchises, what would your tagline be?
Ooh, that's a good. I know I'd be on Beverly Hills. My tagline, I have no idea. I don't know, probably something with my dog and my husband, something like that.
Okay. If you could teleport yourself to a new place or time travel, which one would it be?
Teleport to a new place, for sure.
Last show you binge watched?
Ooh. I just finished the Joe Montana documentary on Peacock. It was really good. It was really good. Yes. Yeah. It starts off a little slow. You know, they do the background of like his hometown and all that stuff, but it was a really good documentary. Yeah.
Okay, check
that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mac or PC?
Mac all the way. I am a part of the Apple cult. I actually just got the new phone. I love it so much. My husband has a PC computer. I cannot stand it. All his other products are Apple. Mac, all the way.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Describe your Super Bowl experience in one word.
One word?
Okay, one phrase.
Depressing.
Oh.
Yeah, Super Bowl, I will just say really quick, it is a lot. It is a show. Playoff games were way more fun, way more enjoyable for me. Super Bowl, everything, halftime is longer. And yes, it sucked more because we lost, obviously. But also, people don't talk about how the men are after losing. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about the loser. Seeing my husband go through that, it was just depressing. I mean, we were in LA. My mom lives there. So thankfully, I was able to stay with her. But I picked him up after the game and he just starts bawling. And it was just... We had so many great memories from Super Bowl. Family was there. My best friend was there. His mom and dad were there, his brother. But nobody talks about the aftermath. And it took a long time to get out of that little rut. You couldn't say the word Super Bowl in our house for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was depressing.
I know that feeling.
Yes.
We'll circle back to that one.
So if you had a choice, swimwear, would it be a 2-piece or 1-piece?
Okay. I don't really like 2 pieces right now. I like strapless 1 pieces. So my favorite part of my body that makes me feel confident is right here. So a strapless 1 piece. Yeah.
I agree because the strapless, you can breathe a little bit. It's not pulling up on you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's next for Kayla?
Ooh, what is next for me? Today I'm going to get our Christmas tree out of storage. In the future, I don't know. We had a really great conversation last night about family and future planning. So I've got a few like checkups and all that stuff. And I definitely want to go the more natural route and get off birth control and just kind of ride out that wave. So that's what's next for me, is just kind of being more in tune with my body and getting right. So.
Okay. So I see what you're saying. You're going to be building some legacy.
Yeah. Well, he wants 5. So I'm like, I'm 26. So if you want 5, let's start somewhere.
You would actually do 5?
We both grew up in a house of 2. 2 is too quiet for us because once I was older and his brother's 6 years older. So when one left for college, it was just like, it was hard.
Yeah.
I think I would like 4, whatever God feels like we need, we'll get. Yeah. But I'd say 4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. All right, that was an easy 2-minute drill. We kind of eased you in.
I'm sorry, I was long-winded.
No, you're
No, that was good.
You were great. First of all, let everyone know before we leave. Let everyone know where they can get a hold of Kayla if they have any questions. They want to reach out to you. Where do they
check these recipes out?
Yes, I am very active on Instagram. I know how people feel about Instagram, but honestly, you just follow the people that inspire you and the people that bring you joy and happiness. It's very easy to make your feed what you want it to be.
So true.
I'm always on Instagram. I would love to hear from you guys. So my IG handle is Kayla Adeniji. You can find me there.
There you go.
I'll be sure to link her Instagram profile in our show notes.
Kayla, thank you
you
so much for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. This was like
so fun.
This was fun. Yeah. This was real
Until next
fun.
time.
Crazy.
That was such a fun episode with Kayla.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. And I'm glad she talked about how they felt or her husband's experience losing the Super Bowl, because they do not talk about the team that loses after the Super Bowl at all.
I agree. And the feelings involved and what you go through, being so close. So I'm glad that she shared that as well. And I'm also glad that she shared just the timeline and or what she experienced in her relationship as far as, doing long distance and being a newlywed, living together for the first time, like all of those things that you go through and the dichotomies behind it, and just working through that, trying to resolve it and being cognizant of, okay, this is how my family did it. We came from divorce. What can we do differently to make a change? I really enjoyed that. So she did a great job, and she cracked me up with her stories with fashion. So I had a good time. It was good. All the way around, it was a good time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's our show for the latest on Inside Lines. Make sure to follow us on both Inside Lines on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, correction. Inside Lines podcast on both Instagram and Facebook.
And you can also listen online and share your favorite episodes at insidelinespodcast.com. And don't forget, if you have any questions, recommendations, if you have some women that you would like us to speak to, leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/insidelines.
Until next time, leave it all out on the field. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.